and open up the vapor line to the car fire. It has directional arrows to let you know what direction it's headed in. All right, now this line's pressurized. When you go to put the car fire prop together, you have to run all the lines. So the first one we're going to install is the Comm link. The Comm link only goes in one way, so you have a receiver and like a male and a female end, not just similar to a fire hose. So it only goes in one way. Right? So this end just goes right into here, just slides in, lock it into place. It only goes in one way. Bring it down, and we hook it in. Just lock that into place, good right where it is. While we're down here, we're also going to hook up our gas line. Okay, very similar. Compression fitting. Should have no resistance here. We go to pull it in. You're going to pull the collar back and just kind of force it in. There shouldn't be any pressure in the line, so it should go right in. If it doesn't want to go right in, it means there's pressure in the line and it may not want to go in at all. So this should work right away. So it's clicked in, it's good to go. Next, we're going to hook up the electric. The electric cord is pre-wired to the unit, so you only have to hook in this end. The big trick with this, when we go to put it in, is we hold this steady and we just simply turn this wheel. If you turn the whole thing, it winds up making all the wires inside here loose. You will not get a good connection, and the unit itself may not want to work. You do have to make sure you line up. There are a couple little slots here. You can see the slots there, so it lines up one specific way. So it's a little tricky getting that in. So it might take a moment or two for it to fall into place. All right, it's in, we turn. Notice I'm holding on to here, turning with this. All we have to go is hand tight. That's it. So this is all hooked up now. We're good to go on this end. All right, when you go to use the car fire prop, you need to make sure, one, there's water in the pan. Just fill it up. It can overfill, really doesn't bother it any, but you need to make sure that it's filled up to above where all the gas pipes are. Once the car fire prop is filled, we want to make sure that we bring the water over. We hook the hose. Up to the unit. I'm going to turn the water on. You can have the water running the entire time the prop is in use. It's like a small sprinkler system in there. It has nothing to do with putting the fire out. It's really just to maintain the integrity of the metal so it doesn't warp from overuse. Make sure you got all the kinks out of line. And the water comes out of the car. When you're done, you can just shut everything off. But you should be running water the entire time you're utilizing the car fire prop. Again, once you're done, you can shut it down. You don't really need to let it cool down because it's going to be relatively cool. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to plug the unit in. There's a wall out on the side of the wall, and there's another outlet down here. So we'll go and plug that in. Standard size, standard outlets. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the unit on. The only way to turn the unit on is by using the wireless controller. Right? Before you start the wireless controller, that's your automatic shut-off. Make sure that's out. It goes in, just pull it out. If it's in, will not fire up, nothing's going to work. You'll notice here it says press 9 and 0. So we'll go ahead, we're going to press those two buttons. The unit should light up. It flashes, little red light right there. We're going to come over here, make sure.
So you hit those buttons in sequence or together?
Together. You hit the buttons together. Make sure the unit is on. Make sure this emergency stop is out. And when I hit the green button, everything should turn on. Everything is on. Now we have to wait for the unit to heat up. So it could be a few minutes. Sometimes it goes very quickly. Other times it's going to be a few minutes. You have to listen for the pilot. It's pretty quiet, but you can hear it click on. Then you know it's ready to go. And additionally, You do have lights. So right now the low air pressure light is on, that's normal, right? And then that will eventually go out and then we'll get pilot on. You can see there's air coming out of it, so that's telling me that it is running. And eventually gas will, when we go to light the gas off, it should ignite. All right, so we wait a little bit. The pilot is on. We waited for this light to turn off. Then we hit our pilot button right here. We hit the pilot, and then I'm gonna hit number 5, which is the multi-switch, and that'll light up all the burners. And now we know our car fire prop is working. This itself is pretty simple to use. Again, we keep it on charge. As we said before, this is your automatic stop, your emergency stop. You just hit that button, it shuts everything off. If we have it hooked up, we can make smoke come out of it. We can also, when we turn it on, we use number 5. We can light all 5 at the same time by hitting number 5, at all 4 burners, or we can do individual burners. Most of the time, we're just using all 5. You have to hold the button down in order to keep the fire going. When I let go of the button, the fire will go out. So that's important to remember, though it will reignite right away. So as soon as they get done knocking the fire down, either they can extinguish the fire or we can just simply let go of the button. Once you're done training with the equipment, we need to depressurize the propane so we can break it down. So there's a couple steps we need to do to make sure we do this. If we leave pressure in the line, you can get the valve, you can get it apart, but you will not be able to get it back together. Very similar to hydraulic lines. If there's pressure in the line, it's difficult, if not impossible, to reconnect it. So what we want to do is, we need to shut the tank down, we'll shut the big valve on the tank down, and then we'll shut these other 2 lines down.
Okay.
Remember, we're going to shut this line down to the car fire prop, shut this line down, and then make sure you shut down the tank itself. You'll notice right now, there's still pressure in the system. So what we're going to do is, since we still have propane in the system, it will still ignite. So I'm going to go ahead and ignite everything, and what you should see is that pressure drop relatively quick. We're going to disconnect the gas now, and this should come right. Obviously, if we unplug it from the wall, that shuts it down. I can turn it off with the power switch. I can hit the red button there, or I could just hit this button here. So I'm going to hit this button here, and if you take a look, all the lights will then go out. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to unplug it from the wall, and we're going to bring the cart over and cover it back over. All right, we're just going to go over a couple different troubleshooting tips. In case the unit doesn't want to work, remember first, check your controller, make sure this button is not in. We're going to pull that button out, okay? In, out. It should always be in the out position to make sure it's working. When we go to turn the unit on, we're going to press 9 and 0 at the same time. You'll see the lights light up, and then you'll see some flashing lights right there. So that's going to tell us that the unit itself is working. Other things we want to make sure is that it's not in the off position. We put it in the on position. We want to make sure that this e-stop is not in. That too needs to come out. So that should make the unit work. We don't use the lockout tagout device, so there's no reason that this should be utilized, but we want to make sure that it's not in a lockout position. So lockout position is all the little holes line up. Non-lockout position, the holes don't line up. Right? The other thing we want to make sure is that you have gas is turned on. We're going to know the gas is on by the gauge. Since the gauge is not reading anything, we know that there is no gas. All we need to do is turn the gas on. All right? Make sure that all your connections are good. They're solid, they're not loose. The other thing that you should be able to either feel or hear is the unit itself running. It is an electric motor in there, there's an electric fan in there, so there should be some action, right? The other thing you can look for is when the pan has water in it, which should always have water in it, the pan has water in it, then you'll see the water just being blown away, okay? That'll also let you know the unit's running. If those steps don't work and you still don't have any power, then you want to notify myself or someone who might be working that day. We try to make sure that everything's working before you get here, but every so often, like anything else that's electronic, things can go wrong. All right?